My name is Tony. I am 57 years old, and I am standing in front of my daughter's house in Portland, Oregon, with a gift bag in my hand and hope in my heart. I just drove 14 hours straight from Sacramento to surprise my granddaughter Emma on her 7th birthday. My fingers are touching the door handle when a man's voice cuts through the air like a blade. Stop. Do not open that door. I turn around and see a stranger running toward me. He grabs my arm. There is something you need to know first, he says. What that neighbor told me changed everything I thought I knew about my own daughter. Before I continue, let me know where you are watching from today. Drop a comment below and hit that like and subscribe button. Now let me take you back to how this all started. I have been an electrician for 32 years. Same company, same work boots, same aching back. I started when I was 25, right after I married Barbara, the love of my life. We lived in a small house in Sacramento, nothing fancy, just 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and a backyard where I built a swing set with my own hands. That swing set was for Megan, our only daughter. My hands are rough, calloused, scarred from wire cuts and burns. My lower back has not felt normal since I turned 45. Climbing ladders, crawling under houses, working in attics during 100-degree summers, and freezing basements during winter storms. That was my life. That is still my life. But I never complained. I did it for my family. Barbara got sick when Megan was 15. Breast cancer, stage 3. The doctors gave her 5 years if she was lucky. She fought for 8 years of chemotherapy, radiation, hospital visits, and sleepless nights. I watched the woman I loved shrink before my eyes. Her hair fell out. Her skin turned pale. But her smile never faded. She smiled for Megan. She smiled for me. Even on her last day, she smiled. Barbara passed away 8 years ago. Megan was 23, fresh out of college with a marketing degree. I remember holding my daughter at the funeral, her body shaking with sobs. She looked at me and said, "Dad, I will never leave you. You will never be alone. I promise." I believed her. During those years when Barbara was sick, I became both mother and father to Megan. I learned how to braid hair by watching videos at midnight. I cooked dinner every night, even when I came home so tired I could barely stand. I helped with homework, drove her to dance practice, sat through every school play and recital. I was there for her first heartbreak, her first car accident, her first job interview. When it came time for college, Megan wanted to go to a good university, a private one. The tuition was $42,000 a year. We did not have that kind of money. Barbara's medical bills had drained our savings, but I was not going to let my daughter start her life buried in student loans. So I worked. I took every extra job I could find. Weekends, holidays, it did not matter. I wired houses for neighbors at night. I fixed electrical panels for local businesses. I sold my truck, the 1994 Ford F-150, that I had restored with my own hands over 3 summers. I loved that truck, but I loved my daughter more. Megan graduated debt-free. I was so proud of her. She walked across that stage, diploma in hand, and I cried like a baby. Barbara should have been there. She should have seen her little girl become a woman. But I carried Barbara's memory in my heart that day. I carried it for both of us. After graduation, Megan moved to Portland for a job at a big marketing firm. I was happy for her. Sad to see her go, but happy. She was starting her life. She was chasing her dreams. That is what parents want for their children, right? We sacrifice so they can fly. A year later, Megan called to tell me she was getting married. His name was Derek. He worked in tech, some kind of manager at a software company. I had never met him. Not once. When I asked about the wedding, Megan said it was going to be small, just a few close friends, no big ceremony. I was not invited. I tried not to let it hurt. I told myself it was her choice, her wedding, her life. But late at night, lying in my empty bed in my empty house, I felt the sting. My only daughter was getting married, and I was not there to walk her down the aisle. I sent a wedding gift instead. A check for $20,000. Every penny I had saved over the past 3 years. It was supposed to be for my retirement, but I figured Megan needed it more. She was starting a new life, a new family. That money was my blessing, my way of saying I love you even if I could not be there in person. Megan called to thank me. The conversation lasted 4 minutes. She said Derek's parents had paid for the wedding. She said the check would go toward a down payment on a house. She said she would send photos. She never did. A year after the wedding, Emma was born. My granddaughter. I only found out because Megan posted about it on social media. Someone from church showed me on their phone. I called Megan that same day. She sounded tired, busy. She said she would send pictures. She said I could visit soon. Soon never came. In 6 years, I have seen Emma 3 times. 3 times in 6 years. Each visit was short, awkward, rushed. Megan always had somewhere to be. Derek was always working. Emma was always napping or at a play date. I would drive 8 hours to Portland, stay for a few hours, then drive back. 8 hours there, 8 hours back for maybe 4 hours with my granddaughter. Every birthday, every Christmas, I sent gifts. Toys, books, clothes, anything I thought Emma might like. I wrote cards, long ones, telling her how much I loved her, how proud I was to be her grandfather. I never got a response. No thank you card. No photo of Emma opening the presents. Nothing. I called Megan every week. Sometimes she answered. Most times she did not. When she did answer, the calls were short. 5 minutes or less. She was always busy. Always had to go. I stopped calling every week. Then I stopped calling every month. The silence grew and I let it. 3 weeks ago, everything changed. I went to see Dr. Patterson, my back specialist. The pain had gotten worse. Shooting down my left leg now. Keeping me up at night. He ran some tests, did an MRI, and called me back into his office with a serious look on his face. Spinal stenosis, he said. Severe. I needed surgery, or I risked losing the ability to walk. The surgery was risky. There was a small chance that something could go wrong. He scheduled me for next month. That night, I sat alone in my kitchen, staring at a photo of Barbara and Megan. It was taken at Megan's high school graduation. Both of them smiling, both of them beautiful. I realized I might die on that operating table. I might never see my granddaughter again. And if that happened, Emma would grow up not knowing who I was, not knowing that her grandfather loved her, not knowing anything about her grandmother. I could not let that happen. I called Megan that night. No answer. I called the next day. No answer. I called every day for 2 weeks. She never picked up. She never called back. I left voicemails. I sent texts. Nothing. So I made a decision. I was going to drive to Portland myself. I was going to show up at her door. I was going to see my granddaughter on her 7th birthday, even if it was the last thing I did. I packed my car the night before. I put Emma's gift in the front seat where I could see it. A doll, a beautiful doll with brown hair and blue eyes, just like Emma. She had mentioned it once during our last video call. The only video call we ever had. She said she wanted a doll like that, I remembered. Grandfathers remember. I also brought something else. A small velvet box containing a bracelet. It was Barbara's. She wore it every day until she got too thin and it kept slipping off her wrist. Before she died, she told me to give it to Emma when she was old enough. She wanted our granddaughter to have something of hers, something to remember her by. I left Sacramento at 2 a.m. The drive was long. My back screamed at me to stop, but I kept going. I drank coffee. I listened to old country songs on the radio. I thought about what I would say when I saw Megan, when I saw Emma. I imagined Emma running into my arms, calling me Grandpa. I imagined Megan smiling, saying she missed me. 14 hours later, I pulled onto Megan's street. It was a nice neighborhood, tree-lined sidewalks, big houses with manicured lawns, 2 car garages. This was where my daughter lived now. This was the life my sacrifice had helped build. I parked across the street and walked toward the house. The front door was painted red. There were flowers in the window boxes. Pretty. Perfect. I noticed several cars in the driveway and along the curb. More than usual. I could hear music coming from inside. Laughter, voices, a party, I thought. Maybe a birthday party. Maybe I arrived just in time. I walked up the porch steps. The gift bag was in my left hand. Barbara's bracelet was in my pocket. I reached for the door handle, my heart pounding with anticipation. That is when I heard the voice. Stop. I froze. Do not open that door. I turned around. A man was running toward me from the house next door. He was about 60 years old, thin with silver hair and a weathered face. He was wearing an old flannel shirt and jeans that had seen better days. He reached me in seconds and grabbed my arm, pulling me away from the door. What are you doing? I asked. Who are you? He was breathing hard. His eyes were wide with something that looked like fear, or maybe pity. You are Tony, right? Megan's father. I stared at him. How did he know my name? Yes, I said. How do you know who I am? The man glanced at the house, then back at me. His grip on my arm loosened, but he did not let go. My name is Marcus, he said. I have been your daughter's neighbor for 4 years. And there is something you deserve to know before you walk through that door. Marcus led me away from Megan's house. His grip on my arm was gentle but firm, like he was guiding a child away from danger. I followed him without protest, too confused to argue. My mind was spinning with questions, but something in his eyes told me to wait, to listen. His house was smaller than Megan's, simpler. A 1-story ranch with faded blue paint and a chain-link fence around a modest yard. The grass was neatly trimmed, but the flower beds were empty. It looked like a house that had once been loved, but now just existed. Inside the living room was sparse. A worn leather couch, a recliner with duct tape on one arm, an old television sitting on a wooden stand. But what caught my attention was the photograph on the wall above the fireplace. A woman with silver hair and kind eyes smiling at the camera. She looked about Marcus's age, maybe younger. There was a black ribbon draped over the corner of the frame. My wife Marcus said, following my gaze. Patricia. She passed 6 years ago. Lung cancer. Never smoked a day in her life. Funny how that works, is it not? I am sorry, I said. I know what that is like. He nodded, a quiet understanding passing between us. 2 men who had lost the women they loved. 2 men living in houses that felt too empty. Marcus walked to the kitchen and poured 2 cups of coffee from a pot that looked like it had been sitting for hours. He handed me one. His hands trembled slightly as he did. Sit down, he said. Please. I sat on the couch. The cushions sagged under my weight. Marcus took the recliner, wincing as he lowered himself into it. His joints were probably as worn out as mine. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The clock on the wall ticked. The refrigerator hummed. Outside, I could still hear the muffled sounds of music and laughter from Megan's house. "What is going on?" I finally asked. "Why did you stop me from going inside?" Marcus took a long sip of his coffee. He stared at the cup like it held the answers he was looking for. Then he set it down and looked at me with eyes full of something I could not quite name. Sadness, maybe. Or regret. "How much do you know about your daughter's life here?" he asked. "Not much," I admitted. "She does not tell me much. We do not talk often." He nodded slowly. "I figured as much. What is that supposed to mean?" Marcus sighed. He rubbed his face with both hands, like a man trying to wake himself from a bad dream. "I live alone," he said. "Have for 6 years. When you live alone, you notice things. You watch the world around you because that is all you have. I watch the birds in my backyard. I watch the kids riding bikes down the street. And I watch my neighbors. Not because I am nosy, because I have nothing else to do." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "When your daughter and her husband moved in 4 years ago, I tried to be friendly. Brought over a casserole. Introduced myself. They were polite but distant. I figured they were busy. Young couple, fancy jobs, nice cars. They had their own world. I listened, my stomach tightening with every word. They throw a lot of parties," Marcus continued. "Dinner parties mostly. Sometimes weekend barbecues. I see the cars pull up. The guests go inside. Expensive clothes, expensive wine. Important people, I guess." He looked at me. "But in 4 years, I have never seen anyone who looked like family. No older folks, no parents, no one who looked like they might be a grandmother or grandfather coming to visit." I felt something cold settle in my chest. "Go on," I said. Marcus reached for his coffee again, then changed his mind. "A few months ago, I was outside trimming my hedge. Your daughter was in her backyard with some friends. They did not know I could hear them. Sound carries funny in these houses." "What did you hear?" He hesitated. I could see it was painful for him to tell me this. That made it worse. "One of her friends asked about you," he said. "Asked if her parents ever visited." Your daughter laughed. Not a nice laugh, a cold one. She said, "My father is an embarrassment, a blue-collar worker who never made anything of himself. Derek's parents are the same simple people from a small town. We do not invite them here. It would ruin our image." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. I sat there stunned, unable to speak. My daughter. My Megan. The little girl I had raised. The little girl I had sacrificed everything for. "Are you sure that is what she said?" I asked. My voice sounded strange, hollow. "I am sure," Marcus said quietly. "I wish I was not." I stared at the floor. The carpet was worn. There was a stain near the leg of the coffee table. I focused on that stain because I could not focus on anything else. "There is more," Marcus said. "More every year. Packages come to her door. Holiday gifts, birthday presents. I see the delivery trucks. I saw the return address once. Sacramento. Your address, I assume." I nodded. "I send gifts. For Emma." Marcus shook his head slowly. "She does not bring them inside." "Not really. They sit on the porch for a day, maybe 2. Then someone comes and takes them away. A woman in a van. I think she donates them somewhere. Or throws them out." I felt like I could not breathe. "I have seen her throw cards in the trash," Marcus added. "Envelopes. Without opening them. I saw it happen last Christmas. She walked right to the garbage can by the curb and tossed it in. My cards, my letters, everything I wrote to Emma. All of it in the trash." Marcus stood up and walked to a shelf near the television. He picked up his phone and scrolled through it. I started recording things he said. I know that sounds strange, but I thought maybe someday someone would need to know the truth. I thought maybe you would come looking for answers. He handed me the phone. On the screen was a video. I pressed play. The quality was not great, but I could see clearly enough. It was a view of Megan's front porch filmed from Marcus's window. In the video, Megan walked outside, picked up a small package and an envelope from the doormat, looked at them briefly, and then walked straight to the trash can at the end of the driveway. She lifted the lid and dropped them inside without a second glance. Then she walked back into the house. The date stamp on the video was December 26th, the day after Christmas. The day after I had sent Emma a handmade wooden music box and a card telling her I loved her. I handed the phone back to Marcus. My hands were shaking. Today is Emma's birthday party, Marcus said. I saw the invitations go out. I was not invited, but I know people who were. She invited at least 30 guests, co-workers, friends, neighbors from the fancy houses down the street. He paused. I asked her, casually, if her father was coming. She said no. She said he would not fit in. He is just an old electrician. My friends would judge me. I closed my eyes. The room felt like it was spinning. That is why I stopped you, Marcus said. If you walk in there right now, she will pretend she does not know you. She will make you feel small in front of all those people. I could not let that happen. Not to a father who drove 14 hours to see his granddaughter. I opened my eyes and looked at Marcus, this stranger, this lonely man who owed me nothing. He had more decency than my own daughter. Why are you telling me all this? I asked. Because I had a daughter once, Marcus said. She died young. Car accident. 23 years old. I would give anything to have one more day with her. And here you are with a daughter who is still alive, who throws away your love like it is garbage. His voice cracked. It is not right, he said. It is just not right. We sat in silence for a long time. The sounds from Megan's party seemed distant now, like they were coming from another world. Finally, I stood up. Thank you, Marcus, I said, for telling me the truth. What are you going to do? I looked toward the window, toward my daughter's house, toward the party I was not invited to. I drove 14 hours, I said. I am not leaving without seeing my granddaughter. I walked back toward Megan's house. My legs felt heavy. My heart felt heavier. But I kept moving. One step, then another, then another. The music was louder now. I could hear children laughing, adults talking, the sounds of a party in full swing, a party celebrating my granddaughter's 7th birthday, a party I was not supposed to know about. I climbed the porch steps and stood in front of the red door. For a moment, I just stared at it. Such a pretty door, such a perfect house, such a carefully constructed life. A life that had no room for an old electrician with calloused hands and a bad back. I pressed the doorbell. The music kept playing. The laughter continued. Maybe no one heard. I pressed it again. Longer this time. The laughter stopped. I heard footsteps approaching. The door swung open. Megan stood before me. She was wearing a navy blue dress that probably cost more than I made in a week. Her hair was styled perfectly. Her makeup was flawless. She looked like a magazine cover. She looked like a stranger. Her face went white when she saw me. Not happy white. Not surprised white. Horrified white. Dad. Her voice was barely a whisper. What are you doing here? I came to wish my granddaughter a happy birthday, I said. Megan glanced over her shoulder. I could see the living room behind her. Balloons, streamers, A banner that read, "Happy Birthday, Emma," in pink letters. People in nice clothes holding wine glasses. Children running around in their party outfits. She stepped outside and pulled the door closed behind her. Her heels clicked on the wooden porch. "You should have called first," she said. Her voice was tight, controlled. "This is not a good time." "I tried calling," I said. "For 2 weeks. You never answered. I have been busy, too busy for your father." She crossed her arms. "Dad, please, not here, not now." Then when Megan, I asked, "When is the right time? I have been waiting 6 years for the right time." She looked away. Her jaw was clenched. I could see the muscles working beneath her skin. "I see more than 30 people in there," I said. "That does not look like a small party." "It is mostly Derek's colleagues," she said. "Work friends. You would not know anyone. I would know my granddaughter." Megan finally looked at me. Her eyes were hard, defensive. "Dad," she said slowly, "you cannot just show up like this. This is my home, my life. You cannot just barge in whenever you want." "I am not barging. I am your father. I came to see Emma, and I am telling you this is not a good time." I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. I pulled up the video Marcus had shown me. I turned the screen toward Megan. "Care to explain this?" I asked. She looked at the screen. Her face went from white to gray. She watched herself on video throwing my Christmas gift into the trash. "Where did you get that?" she asked. "Does it matter? The point is, it is true. Is it not? You have been throwing away my gifts, my letters. You are ashamed of me." Megan said nothing. "Does Emma even know I exist?" I asked. Still nothing. "Does she?" Megan, my daughter, finally spoke. Her voice was quiet, defeated. "She knows she has a grandfather. She just does not know anything about you." "Why? Because it is easier this way," Megan said. "Derek's family is well connected. His parents went to Yale, they have money, status. When people ask about our families, it is just easier to focus on his side. So I am an embarrassment. It is not like that." "I heard what you said, Megan, to your friends, about me being an old electrician, about how I would ruin your image." Her eyes widened. "How did you hear that? It does not matter how. What matters is that you said it, and you meant it." The door behind Megan opened. A little girl with brown hair and blue eyes stepped onto the porch. She was wearing a pink dress with sparkles. There was frosting on her chin. "Mommy, who is this?" she asked. My heart stopped. Emma, my granddaughter, standing right in front of me for the first time in 2 years. She was so big now, so grown up. She looked just like Megan did at that age. She looked just like Barbara. She did not recognize me. Megan quickly stepped between us. "No one, sweetie. Just a delivery man. Delivery man." The words cut deeper than any knife. I felt tears sting my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Not here. Not now. Instead, I knelt down so I was at Emma's eye level. She looked at me curiously, her head tilted to one side. "Hello, Emma," I said. "My name is Tony. I am your grandfather. Your mommy's daddy." Emma blinked. She looked at me, then at Megan, then back at me. "Mommy," she said, "you told me I do not have a grandfather." Megan grabbed Emma's hand. "Come on, sweetie, let us go back inside." She tried to pull Emma away, but Emma resisted. "But Mommy," Emma said, "he says he is my grandfather." "Is that true?" Megan's face was twisted with something I could not read. Anger, fear, shame. Maybe all three. "Go inside, Emma. Now." Emma reluctantly obeyed, casting one last confused look at me before disappearing through the door. Megan turned to me. Her eyes were blazing. "Leave," she said. "Now, or I will call the police." I did not move. I just stood there looking at my daughter, this stranger who used to be my little girl. "I did not come here to make a scene," I said quietly. "I came here because I love my granddaughter, and I will not let you erase me from her life." I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out a folded envelope. It was worn at the edges. I had been carrying it for 3 years, waiting for the right moment. I never thought the right moment would look like this. Megan stared at the envelope. "What is that? Open it." She took it reluctantly, as if it might burn her. She unfolded the papers inside and read them. Her expression shifted from confusion to disbelief to something that looked like fear. "This is Mom's will," she said. "Her life insurance," I corrected. "The payout went into a trust. For Emma." Megan kept reading. I watched her eyes scan the numbers. $150,000, held in trust by me to be given to Emma when she turned 18. Barbara wanted Emma to have a start in life. She wanted our granddaughter to have opportunities. "You never told me about this," Megan said. "I wanted it to be a surprise. For Emma. I wanted to tell her on her 18th birthday. Show her pictures of her grandmother. Tell her the story of who Barbara was." I took a step closer to Megan. "But things have changed," I said. "Now I am making a decision. If you continue to cut me out of Emma's life, if you keep pretending I do not exist, I will change the trust. Every penny will go to a scholarship fund in Barbara's name instead." Megan's face went pale again. "You cannot do that. Read the papers again. I am the trustee. I have full discretion over how the funds are distributed until Emma turns 18. Her hands were shaking now. "This is blackmail." "No, this is a father asking for the chance to know his granddaughter. This is a husband keeping his promise to his dying wife. Barbara wanted Emma to know where she came from. She wanted Emma to know that she was loved. By both of us." The front door opened again. This time it was Derek. He was tall, athletic, with the kind of smile that probably worked well in boardrooms. Right now, that smile was nowhere to be seen. "What is going on out here?" he asked. "The caterer is asking about the cake." He noticed me. His eyes narrowed. "Who is this, my father?" Megan said flatly. Derek looked me up and down. I could see the judgment in his eyes, the assessment, the dismissal. "The electrician," he said. "Right. That is right," I said. "The electrician who paid for your wife's college education. The electrician who gave you $20,000 for your wedding. The electrician who has been sending gifts to your daughter for 6 years while you threw them in the trash." Derek's expression flickered. He looked at Megan. "What is he talking about?" Megan showed him the trust papers. Derek read them. I watched his face change as he saw the numbers. Suddenly, I was not just an old electrician anymore. "Let him in," Derek said to Megan. "It is just one party." I almost laughed. $150,000. That was what it took to buy a few hours with my granddaughter. "I am not here for your approval," I said to Derek. "I am here for my granddaughter." I walked past them both and into the house. The living room fell silent as I entered. 30 pairs of eyes turned to look at me. I saw their confusion, their curiosity. A few people whispered to each other. "Who is this old man in the worn jacket? What is he doing here?" I did not care. I scanned the room until I found Emma. She was standing by the fireplace with 2 other girls her age. They were looking at a tablet, probably playing some game. Emma looked up when she felt my gaze. I walked over to her. The room was still silent. I could feel Megan and Derek following behind me, but I ignored them. I knelt down in front of Emma. She looked at me with those big blue eyes. Barbara's eyes. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the velvet box. I opened it and showed her what was inside. A silver bracelet with tiny charms. A heart. A star. A little bird. "This belonged to your grandmother," I said. "Her name was Barbara. She died before you were born, but she loved you. She loved you so much that she wanted you to have something of hers when you were old enough." Emma stared at the bracelet. She reached out and touched one of the charms. "It is pretty," she whispered. "Your grandmother was pretty too. You look just like her." Emma looked up at me. Her eyes were full of questions. "Are you really my grandfather?" she asked. "Yes, I am. And I have loved you since the day you were born. I have sent you presents every birthday and every Christmas. I have written you letters. I have kept your picture in my wallet since the day I first saw you." I pulled out my wallet and showed her. There behind the plastic window was a photo of Emma as a newborn. The only photo Megan ever sent me. Emma studied the picture. Then she looked at me. "Why have I never met you before?" I looked at Megan, who was standing a few feet away. Her face was unreadable. I turned back to Emma. "Sometimes," I said carefully, "families get lost from each other. But I am here now, and I am going to make sure we do not get lost again." Emma smiled. It was a small smile, uncertain but real. Then she stepped forward and hugged me. I wrapped my arms around her. She smelled like birthday cake and strawberry shampoo. She was warm and real and mine. My granddaughter. In my arms for the first time in 2 years. I held her tight and let the tears fall. The party ended 2 hours later. The guests left in small groups, many of them casting curious glances my way as they said goodbye. I ignored them all. I only had eyes for Emma. I stayed on the back patio while Megan and Derek cleaned up inside. I could hear them arguing through the open window. Megan's voice was sharp. Derek's was defensive. I caught fragments of their conversation. $150,000. "You never told me about this. How could I have known your father could take it all away? Let them fight." I did not care about their money problems. I only cared about the little girl sitting beside me asking question after question about her grandmother. "What was her favorite color?" Emma asked. "Blue, like the sky on a clear day." "What was her favorite food?" "Apple pie. She made the best apple pie in the world." "Did she like to sing?" "She did. She had a beautiful voice. She used to sing to your mother when she was little. And when your mother got older, she would sing to me." Emma was holding the bracelet now. I had clasped it around her small wrist before her mother could object. It was too big for her, but she did not seem to mind. "Did she look like me?" Emma asked. I pulled out my wallet again. This time I showed her a different photo. One of Barbara from 20 years ago, before the cancer, before the pain. She was smiling in the sunlight, her hair blowing in the wind. "See for yourself," I said. Emma studied the photo. Her eyes went wide. "She does look like me," Emma said. "And like Mommy too." "Yes. You both got her beauty." Emma smiled at that. A real smile. The first real smile I had seen from her all day. The back door opened. Megan stepped outside. She looked tired. The perfect hair was coming undone. The flawless makeup showed cracks. "Emma," she said, "it is time to say goodbye to Grandpa. It is getting late." Emma's face fell. Already I looked at Megan. Her expression was softer now. Still guarded, but softer. "Actually," I said, "I was hoping I could stay a little longer." Megan hesitated. Derek appeared behind her, his face tight. "He can stay for dinner," Derek said. "The least we can do." I could tell he did not mean it. I could tell he was thinking about the money, but I did not care why he was letting me stay. I only cared that I was staying. "Emma, why do you not go inside and wash up?" Megan said. "We will have dinner in half an hour." "Okay." She gave me one last hug before running inside. "Bye, Grandpa, Grandpa." The word wrapped around my heart like a warm blanket. Megan sat down in the chair next to me. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The evening air was cool. The sounds of the city were distant, muffled. "I am sorry," Megan said finally. I did not respond. "I'm sorry," she said again. "For everything. The gifts, the calls, the wedding, all of it." I looked at her. My daughter. The baby I had held in my arms 57 years ago. The little girl who used to climb into my lap and fall asleep against my chest. The teenager who swore she would never leave me alone. "What happened to you?" I asked. She shook her head. "I do not know. I really do not know." She paused. "When I moved here, everything was different. Derek's world was different. His friends, his family, his colleagues, they all came from money, good schools, important jobs. I felt like I did not belong, like I had to prove myself." "So you erased where you came from." "I thought it would be easier. If no one knew about my background, they could not judge me for it. And me, your father, I was part of that background." She nodded, tears forming in her eyes. "I was ashamed," she whispered. "Not of you as a person, but of what you represented. The small house, the blue-collar job, the old truck. I was afraid that if people knew where I came from, they would not accept me. They would not accept you," I said. "Or you would not accept yourself." She did not answer. She did not have to. "I worked my whole life so you could have opportunities," I said. "I never asked you to be ashamed of me. I just wanted you to be happy. I know. Your mother and I sacrificed everything for you. Everything. And you threw away her gifts, her letters, her memory." Megan was crying now. Tears streamed down her face, ruining the perfect makeup. "I know," she said. "I know. And I can never take that back. I can never fix it." "No," I said. "You cannot." We sat in silence for a while. The tears kept coming, but I did not move to comfort her. I was not ready for that. The wound was too fresh, but I did not leave either. Finally, Megan spoke again. Her voice was small, like a child's. "Emma asks about you sometimes," she said. "Not by name. She asks why she does not have grandparents like her friends do. Why no one visits on holidays. What do you tell her? That it is complicated? It does not have to be." Megan looked at me. Really looked at me. For the first time in years, I saw my daughter in her eyes. The real Megan. The one I remembered. "Can we start over?" she asked. "Not pretend like nothing happened. I know we cannot do that. But can we try for Emma?" I thought about it. I thought about all the years of silence, all the unanswered calls, all the gifts in the garbage, all the pain. But I also thought about Barbara, about what she would want. She never held grudges. Even at the end, even when she had every right to be angry at the world she chose love. I reached out and took Megan's hand. It was soft, uncalloused, so different from mine. "We can try," I said. "For Emma, for your mother's memory." Megan squeezed my hand. "Thank you. But I need you to understand something," I said. "I am not doing this for you. Not yet. You broke my heart, Megan. You broke it in ways I did not think were possible. It is going to take time for me to trust you again. A long time. I know. I also need you to understand that Emma will know the truth. All of it. About her grandmother. About me. about the gifts and the letters. She will know that I was always there even when you told her I was not. Megan winced, but she nodded. Okay, she said. Okay. The back door opened again. Emma poked her head out. Is dinner ready yet? I am hungry. Megan wiped her eyes quickly. Almost. Give us 2 more minutes. Emma nodded and disappeared back inside. I looked at Megan. One more thing, I said. What, I am having surgery next month. My back. It is serious. There is a chance things could go wrong. Megan's face went pale. What kind of surgery? Spinal stenosis. I could lose the ability to walk if I do not have it. But even with the surgery, there are risks. Dad, why did you not tell me I tried? You did not answer my calls. The words hung in the air between us. Heavy. Damning. Megan's hand went to her mouth. Oh God. Dad, I am so sorry. I need someone to be there, I said. Not for me. For Emma. If something happens, I need to know she will remember me. That she will know who I was. I will be there. Megan said. I promise. We will all be there. I looked at her. Really, really, she paused. And maybe I can bring Emma to Sacramento before the surgery, so you can spend some real time together. I felt something crack inside my chest. Not pain this time, something else. Hope, maybe. Or healing. I would like that, I said. Emma came running back out. Can we eat now, please? I laughed. It was the first real laugh I had managed all day. Come on, I said, standing up and offering her my hand. Let us go eat. Emma took my hand and pulled me toward the door. Her grip was small but strong. Behind us, I heard Megan follow. And for the first time in years, I felt like maybe, just maybe, things were going to be okay. I stayed in Portland for a week. 7 days. The longest week of my life, and also the best. Every morning I drove Emma to school. She would sit in the passenger seat of my rental car, chattering about her friends, her teachers, her favorite subjects. She liked art and music. She hated math, just like Megan did at her age. Every afternoon, I picked her up. We would stop for ice cream on the way home. Rocky Road for her. Vanilla for me. She thought vanilla was boring. I told her sometimes boring is just another word for classic. Every evening I sat with her while she did her homework. I helped with spelling words and reading assignments. When she got frustrated, I told her the same thing Barbara used to tell Megan. Learning is not about being perfect. It is about trying, and trying again. On Wednesday, Marcus came over for dinner. Megan was awkward at first, unsure how to act around the man who had revealed her secrets. But Marcus was gracious. He did not bring up the past. He just talked about his garden, his late wife, his collection of old records. By the end of the night, Megan was laughing at his stories. Really laughing. And I realized something. Marcus was not just my ally. He was becoming my friend. On Friday, Megan and I went through old photo albums together. I had brought some from Sacramento. Photos of Barbara. Photos of Megan as a child. Photos from a time before everything fell apart. Megan cried when she saw them. Not the guilty tears from before. Real tears. Grief tears. She had never properly mourned her mother, I realized. She had buried the pain and pretended it did not exist. I held her while she cried. It was the first time I had held my daughter in 8 years. I miss her, Megan whispered. I miss her so much. I know, I said. I miss her too. The week passed too quickly. Before I knew it, it was Sunday. Time to go home. Time to face the surgery. Derek drove me to the airport. We did not talk much. He was polite but distant, still processing everything that had happened. I did not expect us to become friends. but I hoped we could at least be civil. At the departure gate, Emma hugged me so tight I thought she might crack my ribs. "Do you have to go?" she asked. "For now," I said. "But I will be back, I promise." She pulled back and looked at me. Her eyes were bright. "I love you, Grandpa." The words hit me like a wave. I had waited 6 years to hear them. 6 long years. "I love you too, sweetheart. More than you will ever know." Megan was next. She hugged me carefully, mindful of my back. "Call me when you land," she said. "I will. And call me before the surgery. And after. Call me every day if you need to." I laughed. "I thought you were too busy to take my calls." She pulled back. Her eyes were wet. "Not anymore," she said. "Never again." I boarded the plane with a lighter heart than I had felt in years. The weight was not gone completely. Some wounds take longer to heal. But for the first time, I believed they would heal. Marcus met me at the Sacramento airport. He had offered to drive me home since I had left my own car in Portland. "How did it go?" he asked as we walked to his truck. "Better than I expected," I said. "Still a long way to go, but better." He nodded. "Good. That is good." We drove through the familiar streets of Sacramento, past the hardware store where I bought supplies, past the diner where Barbara and I used to eat breakfast on Sundays, past the church where we were married 40 years ago. My house looked the same as always, small, quiet, empty. But it did not feel as empty as before. The surgery was scheduled for the following month. I spent the weeks preparing, getting my affairs in order, writing letters to Emma in case I did not wake up, making sure she would know the truth no matter what happened. Megan called every day, sometimes twice. She told me about Emma's school projects, her new friends, her growing fascination with her grandmother's bracelet. Emma wore it everywhere, Megan said, even to bed. 3 days before the surgery, Megan and Emma flew to Sacramento. They stayed in my guest room, the room that had once been Megan's. Emma was fascinated by her mother's childhood home. She wanted to see everything. The backyard, the treehouse I had built 30 years ago, the marks on the kitchen door frame where I had tracked Megan's height over the years. The night before the surgery, Emma crawled into my bed. "Are you scared?" she asked. "A little," I admitted. She snuggled closer to me. "I will be here when you wake up," she said. "I promise." I smiled in the darkness. "That is all I need, sweetheart. That is all I need." The surgery lasted 6 hours. When I opened my eyes, the first thing I saw was Emma's face. She was sitting in a chair beside my bed, holding my hand. Her eyes were red from crying, but she was smiling. "Grandpa," she said, "you are awake." Behind her, Megan stood up from another chair. Her face was pale, exhausted, but relieved. "Hey, Dad," she said. "How do you feel?" "Like I got hit by a truck," I said, "but alive." The doctor came in a few minutes later. The surgery was successful, no complications. I would need months of physical therapy, but I would walk again. I would live. I spent 2 weeks in the hospital. Emma visited every day. She brought me drawings she had made, pictures of our family. Me, Megan, Emma, and Barbara. Always Barbara. "Why did you draw Grandma?" I asked one day. "Because she is part of our family too," Emma said. "Even if she is not here." I looked at my granddaughter. 7 years old. Wiser than most adults I knew. "You are right," I said. "She is." When I finally went home, Megan stayed another week to help me settle in. She cooked my meals, helped me with my exercises, made sure I took my medication. It was strange having her there. Strange, but good. On her last night, we sat on my porch, the same porch where Barbara and I had spent countless evenings watching the sunset. "I have been thinking," Megan said. About moving back to California. Maybe not Sacramento, but somewhere closer. So Emma can see you more often. I looked at her. What about Derek? Megan was quiet for a moment. We have been talking, she said. About a lot of things. I do not know what is going to happen with us. But I know I cannot keep living the way I was, pretending to be someone I am not. Hiding where I came from. She paused. You were right, she said. Being ashamed of where you come from is being ashamed of who you are. I do not want Emma to grow up that way. I do not want her to be ashamed of her grandfather or her grandmother. I reached over and took her hand. I am proud of you, I said. For saying that, for trying. She squeezed my hand. I have a long way to go, she said. We all do. That is what life is. 3 months later, Megan filed for divorce. Derek did not fight it. I think he was relieved, honestly. Their marriage had been built on appearances, not love. It was only a matter of time before it crumbled. Megan and Emma moved to San Jose, 2 hours from Sacramento, close enough to visit every other weekend. Close enough for Emma to spend summers with her grandpa. That was 5 years ago. Today I am 62 years old. My back still aches, but I can walk. I can garden. I can build things with my hands, even if I need to take breaks more often. Emma is 12 now. She comes to stay with me every summer and every other holiday. She knows everything about her grandmother. She has read all the letters, seen all the photos, heard all the stories. She wears Barbara's bracelet every day. Megan and I are not perfect. We still have difficult conversations. There are still moments of tension, old wounds that flare up unexpectedly. But we talk. We try. We show up for each other. Marcus passed away last winter. Heart attack. Peaceful, they said. He went in his sleep. I gave the eulogy at his funeral. I told everyone about the day he stopped me from opening that door. About how his honesty saved my relationship with my granddaughter. About how his friendship saved me. I still think about that day. Standing on Megan's porch, reaching for the door handle. That voice cutting through the air. Stop. Do not open that door. What if Marcus had not been there? What if he had minded his own business? What if I had walked into that party and been humiliated in front of all those strangers? I might have left. I might have given up. I might have spent my last years alone, forgotten, erased. But he was there. And I did not give up. And now I have my granddaughter. I have my daughter back. I have a family again. That is the lesson I want to leave with you. The lesson Barbara taught me all those years ago. Never let anyone make you feel small for who you are. Your worth is not measured by your job title or your bank account. It is measured by the love you give and the integrity you keep. I worked hard my whole life. I sacrificed. I suffered. And for a while I thought that was not enough. I thought my daughter was right to be ashamed of me. But I was wrong. And so was she. I am Tony. I am an electrician. I am a father. I am a grandfather. And I am proud of every single thing I am. I do not know what the future holds. None of us do. But I know this. I showed up. I stood my ground. And because of that, my granddaughter knows who her grandfather is. That is enough. That is more than enough. Now I want to ask you something. Have you ever felt overlooked or undervalued by someone you loved? Have you ever stood at a door wondering if you should knock or walk away? What did you do? What would you do differently? Leave your answer in the comments. I read every single one. Your story matters. Your voice matters. If this story touched you, please hit the like button. It helps more than you know. And if you have not already subscribed to this channel, we share stories like this every week. Real stories. Human stories. Stories that remind us we are not alone. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. A parent, a child, a friend who is going through a hard time. You never know whose life you might change. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And remember, you are never too old to fight for the people you love.